Hi everybody, I'm Julia and this is Julia at Home. If you are new here, welcome. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids. I have a 7-year-old daughter, a 4-year-old son, and a 7-month-old daughter. This channel is about homeschooling and motherhood, and an important part of motherhood for me is actually goal setting and planning. It helps me be more intentional in my life and in my parenting. So today we're actually going to be talking about my goals for 2020. I use the Cultivate What Matters Powersheets. This is going to be my 3rd year using them. And let me show you, it's absolutely gorgeous this year. They made it hardcover, which I love because before it was laminated, so it was still sturdy and you could spill stuff and it was fine. But this is just definitely a step up, and it's got this gold detail here, and they're just beautiful. So go ahead and grab your tea or hot chocolate or coffee or whatever you're drinking this morning, and let's talk about my goals. I just did 6 this year, and what I did is they have some extra sheets for setting your goals. Here's a blank one, goals at a glance. And I used that actually to set my overall goals for the year, and it's actually in my Erin Condren planner. So I will show you. I have taped it in the front here. And so my goals this year, my overall goals, goal 1 is improve my physical health, and within each of these goals I have some bullet points. So for that, I would like to lose weight in inches. I would like to increase my energy, and I would like to increase my strength and stamina. This has been a goal for me for a while, but to be honest, the last couple of years, it's been more on the back burner than I would like, even though I keep saying it's a goal, because last year this time I was pregnant with my gorgeous little baby. And so I did have a very healthy pregnancy, but postpartum is always kind of a readjustment, and so I'm at the point now, or I have been for maybe a month or 2 now, where I'm kind of ready to refocus on the actual weight loss. I feel like the immediate postpartum period, at least the first couple months, is not a time to focus on that. I'm focusing on bonding with the baby, eating nourishing foods, my milk supply, because I do nurse her. Now it's going to shift a little bit, even though I am going to continue to nurse her, and nourishing foods are still important. I can focus a little more. I don't love the focus on weight that we have as a society in general, and I hate to perpetuate that, but I am just feeling uncomfortable with my body the way it is. I am not feeling my healthiest and strongest, and to be honest, to be quite honest with you, I really want to be able to fit into some of my clothes again. So I'm still wearing a combination of maternity clothes and some bigger sizes that I ended up buying. So that's where I am on that. And everybody, it's very personal. So I'm going to be getting into some very personal stuff here. So I'm hoping that in putting myself out there, I will encourage and inspire some other people, because I have a feeling that I'm not the only one that's feeling some of these things. So that being said, that's my first overarching goal. And then I will get to the more specifics of how I'm tackling that a little later in the video. So right now I'm just going to go over what the overall goals are. My second goal is my mental and emotional health. Not talking about being a little bit vulnerable here again and sharing with this YouTube audience. I struggle with anxiety and depression. I have struggled with depression for years. The anxiety has been kicking up over the last few years. Or maybe it was there and I just didn't recognize what it was. But it comes and goes. I honestly, not a lot of people in my life know this, so it's a little awkward to put on YouTube, but there it is. It needs to be addressed so that I can be a better parent. My specific goals within this category are to decrease my anxiety and depression, to improve my confidence, and to practice more gratitude and joy. So that's my mental and emotional health. That's, again, a really important goal for me this year that's getting a lot of focus. My third goal is finances. This is always one of my goals. To be honest, last year I did not do fantastic with it. My big items under finances are pay down debt. We do have some loans that we're paying down, mostly from dental medical stuff that I went through a couple years ago. and also our solar canopy. And we have a mortgage on the house, but we're trying to tackle the other loans and some other stuff before we get to the mortgage. I also have some big things I want to save for. So sometimes when you're in this like kind of long haul of paying down stuff, like it's not feasible for us to be able to pay everything off in like a year or two at this point. We can pay it off faster than we otherwise would. And we did actually in the past year finish off our payment on our van early, which was exciting. But I feel like for me, it needs to be balanced with some other things because I'm living here in the moment, and there are some items that would make my life easier and add to our ability to function as a family. Like there's some furniture pieces that would make the house just much more workable for me, would also bring me more peace. So, but I don't want to go into debt for them. So saving for big items, paying down debt, and just less emotional impulse buying, which is kind of where I get in trouble, which is connected to like the saving for things. Instead of trying to be so strict that then I might go out and impulse buy because I feel like I'm restricting myself too much, if that makes sense. I have a budget notebook, and I'm going to be making a new video. I have one from 2 years ago that I'll link. And it is similar, but I haven't shown you in a little while, so I'm going to make a new video and I'll post that in a couple weeks. But I will also link to the old one above. So if you want to hear more about how I managed my budget, I'll just check out that video. Goal 4 is my marriage, and I'm trying to be open in general about my life and share, but marriage is involved 2 people, and my husband's pretty private, so all I'm going to say is all relationships need work, and I'm feeling like we're in a place now where we need to work on it, so we're going to do that. And so I won't be sharing a lot about that, but that is one of my big goals for the year. And then the 5th goal is relationships with my children and our family culture. I kind of lumped it together, but it has several components to it. So I want to make sure that I'm maintaining a positive relationship with my children. That seems like obvious, but I do feel like relationships need work. And since I am also the teacher and I tend to be the disciplinarian, I find that if I'm not intentional, that there can be some days where we have all negative interactions, or I'm not connecting with them the way I want to. So this involves trying to just daily have positive connection with each child. I feel like also when you have more children, it gets a little more chaotic, and it's not as natural to have that one-on-one time. And so then the other thing I've set a goal for is to do more mommy child dates. Probably not so much with the baby right now, because she's usually on me with my 7-year-old, with my 4-year-old, coming up with some fun things that we can go out of the house and do together one-on-one. So there's that relationship with my kids. And then the family culture, I want to create this family culture on things we love. I want my kids get older. I want them to have this basis, this rooted basis in that they were loved, that they were cared for, but also a memory of the fun things that tie us together. So things that we love to do together and we're really at our best as a family are going on hikes, playing games, doing our read aloud. So I want to do more of those things, and just more happy family times instead of getting caught up in schedules and everything. My 6th goal is creating a life-giving home, and for me that means one that works well for me and my family. I debated whether to put this as a goal because it's been a goal in the past, but part of it feels like, well, I need to make and buy things and work on house projects all the time, and that kind of goes against some of my other goals of just being frugal, I guess, just being more aware of my money. If I have to spend it all on this stuff, then that's not going to work. But what I've realized is it really does affect my mental and emotional health. And it affects my ability to do my jobs. My main job is homeschooling the children. And I would then include my garden and growing food for us as kind of like another job, and then this my YouTube channel as another one. So in order for us to function, especially for homeschool, there needs to be certain systems in place. And in order for me to easily feed my family in a way that doesn't stress me out and cause me anxiety, like there needs to be systems in place. That's kind of where that's coming from, of creating these spaces that work for me on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. That includes, I think, decluttering, creating a better cleaning routine. This is always a struggle for me. If you're one of those people who has struggled with cleaning and has found something that works for you, please comment below. I have looked at Fly Lady before. I haven't been consistent enough with it. I'm willing to try that again. But if you have any other systems that work for you, please comment below. I'm always looking for help with that. And then just creating these spaces that work for me, doing what I can on a limited budget, and then prioritizing and saving up for what would be most helpful. For example, one of the first big things I'm going to be saving up for is a sideboard or buffet for our dining area. Right now I have a little skinny shelf there, and it is not holding everything it needs to hold. And there's some stuff that are in other places that would be really good to be able to put there. So I'm hoping we could have a sideboard. It can store homeschool art materials, table linens, things like that. Those are my 6 goals. So we've got physical health, mental and emotional health, finances, marriage, relationships with kids and family culture, and then 6 is creating a life-giving home. Now, you might say, great, you have these big goals, but now what, right? That's those steps. There's not like actionable steps there. So what I did is I broke it down by quarter. So those are my overarching goals. And then each quarter, I'm going to set more specific goals for each of those big goals, if that makes sense. I kind of adapted it from what Plan with Lakin is doing. I will link her video below on this. It just made sense to me. So the first goal page in here it's generally your yearly goals, but I made it quarter 1 goals. And then what's great about Powersheets is they actually have a refresh. I'll go over this in more detail, but this is my quarter 1 goals, where they would normally have you put your just overall 2020 goals. And then you can see here there's a tab for spring, and within that spring tab there's a blank space, and they have the same thing for summer and fall. And so I will just make each of those a quarter of the year. So the first quarter is January, February, March. One of the things I love about this idea is that I've noticed that different times of the year will just naturally have different priorities. So during this time of year, the first quarter, I have a tendency to want to do a lot of house projects and organization. During the summer, I'm wanting to get outside more with the kids and enjoy the weather. And also summer and fall, I'm doing a lot in the garden. And this year I'll be spending a lot of time preserving our harvest. So I won't have as much time for things like house organization. So it allows me to kind of throughout the year space my goals accordingly. That being said, let me just go over with you what my quarter 1 goals are, and then my intention is to make a new video for each quarter with an update with how I'm doing on my overall goals and what my goals are going forward for the next quarter. So again, I'm going to go over, these are my quarter 1 goals. You can see that I've color coded them. So here I actually have listed 8 goals for quarter 1, but they're still under my 6 overarching goals. So they're all color coded. So this pink is physical health. This purple, which you see here and here, is mental health. And I outlined this in pink because it's both physical and mental health. And so on. The color coding tells me which overarching goal each of these is under. For physical health, I am starting by tracking and improving my diet. So the first step is just tracking what I'm doing. And I use MyFitnessPal. I've used it in the past. It's already on my phone. So it's theoretically pretty easy for me to do. I do find it hard to remember to write down what I'm doing. And we do a lot. I do almost everything is homemade meals, like not a lot of prepackaged stuff. And so it does get a little harder when you're doing that to track, which is frustrating. But I've already been doing that, and I see a big difference just paying attention, because I know that I can unthinkingly overeat. So that's my first step with that. Meal planning is part of this goal. I do meal plan. I just find it necessary. in order to feed everybody, to have a plan. I have a couple guidelines, but I'm not yet being strict about it as far as what I'm eating. So I know I want to reduce dairy, I want to reduce sugar. Sugar, I think everybody can reduce. Dairy is a very personal thing. I just noticed that I don't feel as good and I get more breakouts when I'm eating dairy, even though I love it. So, and always increasing veggies. Increasing veggies is always good. So those are my general food guidelines. And so that's my specific goals for physical health. And I have that in I have ways to track all these with the tending sheets and in my life planner. So next week I will be posting a tour of my life planner and how I've got it set up for this year. So I will link it when I post that, and keep an eye on that to show. I'll show you exactly how I'm tracking all this. My second quarterly goal is to establish a morning routine. I love routines. I love the idea of routines. I am not always good at following through, especially when it's like my personal routine and not for the kids. And so I've actually been doing pretty good with this. This is both for my mental and my physical health, because the idea is, along with doing things like my teeth and my face in the morning, taking my vitamins, I have been pretty good. I've started meditating in the morning, and it's something that I know is so good for me and I've done before, but it's often hard to find time, especially with the baby. So this was something I had to work out with my husband, where I said after breakfast, he takes the baby for about an hour, depending on what time it is, and he actually walks her, and she takes a short little nap most of the time. And that's my time to do my morning routine. So for me, ideally, that would include, brushing my teeth, washing my face, taking my vitamins, meditating, going for a walk, and then getting dressed and ready for the day. So far, I've at least been getting to like the teeth and face and the meditating. And so for right now, I'm counting that as having done my morning routine. That's kind of like my minimum. I have gotten on walks, maybe like a third of the time. To be honest, it's winter, and so going on a walk requires getting my socks, my like big wool socks on, and my boots and my coat and my hat and so that is just, it's just not as fun to go out when it's so cold. Theoretically, I could also fit in some other exercise in there. But as it is, an hour is not as long as you think it is, especially when, I don't know, for me, like once I meditate and get dressed, that takes up a lot of the time. So I might need to fit in walking and exercising another time of day as well. But establishing my morning routine is the goal for this quarter. And so far, I've got a decent start on that. Goal 3 is do a budget check-in, at least monthly, preferably weekly. That's pretty simple. If I stay on top of it, I'm less likely to spend. Goal 4 is under marriage, and that's just regular date night. If you guys have favorite at-home date nights, because it's not feasible for us to go out very often, I'm hoping we can maybe do some sort of special date once a quarter. But if you guys have some good at-home dates ideas, especially for tired parents, let me know. Anyway, if you have some good at-home date nights, we're trying to be better about that. My next 2 goals are both under like relationship with kids and family fun. So the first one is to make lists of the fun things we can do as a family and to schedule some in. This is going well so far. I've started some like seasonal fun lists in my planner, which I will show you in that video. And I've also, we did one yesterday actually as I'm filming this video. We went out to a little museum thing. We went to the Snowflake Bentley Museum. We also went out to lunch afterwards. So it was just like a little thing. It's winter. I want to take the big kids skating and maybe skiing this year, but we have some issues with wearing appropriate clothing and especially wearing appropriate shoes, and so they don't love the idea of putting like the skates on, the boots on. I'm hoping, I love to skate. I used to do competitive figure skating. I wasn't very good, but I did it and I had fun. So I'm hoping I can at least get them to do that. I told them like just like 5 or 10 minutes, just try it. My 6th goal is to do a mommy child date with each of my older children during this quarter, so January through March. I think my son, so I haven't actually taken my kids. They haven't been to a movie theater yet. My oldest, my daughter, doesn't like to sit still through things, but my son does sit and watch, and so we just need to find something that I think is appropriate and he would enjoy, and his sister wouldn't get mad about us seeing, because he would have loved to go see the new Star Wars. I totally would have taken him to see that because he's a huge Star Wars fan. But I feel like she would have been upset that we saw it without her. So we're going to wait on that one. And I honestly don't even know what movies are coming out. So I need to do some research. If you guys have thoughts on this, on good movies that are coming out or that you've seen with your kids recently in theaters, again, let me know. This is a 4-year-old boy. He loves action. My daughter, I'm still working on something. I was hoping to do something crafty. I had suggested we could go get our nails done. She doesn't like any of those. All she wants to do is go horseback riding, which is not something... She takes horseback riding lessons. Well, I feel like that might be something that might work later. I don't know. That's not really what I had in mind. I want something that we could more so talk. And she's not at the level of riding that we could just like go on a trail ride somewhere and talk while we're riding. So, yeah. I'm working on that. I'm thinking maybe something creative. We could do like an art class, like a 1-day art class, or I was thinking of those, you know, those pottery studios where you just paint something and glaze it and get it later, or something like that. So I'm still looking into that. Again, if you have any ideas, let me know. My 7th goal is, I mentioned earlier that this time of the year I am big on the house projects. So that's what it is. I have a list of some of the projects I at least want to make progress on. I'm trying not to be a perfectionist because then nothing gets done. So my mantra on this is progress, not perfection. The first thing I was focusing on was the office, and I actually made really good progress at that. Still needs work, but I feel better about it. Also, we're working on we have a closet in our front entryway. I'm turning it into a cleaning closet. I figured this would be a great way to have cleaning supplies closer to where I actually use them. And it would also clear some room in our storage room downstairs, which I'm hoping to use for food that I'm preserving and emergency supplies. Hopefully that will be done soon. I also want to work on, I'm in the middle of making a towel hanger for our laundry guest bathroom. Organizing our first aid supplies, which are kind of all over. And then we've been meaning for a while to replace our mailbox. And I got a new mailbox and mounting thing, but I kind of want to paint it. So if I'm going to do that, I need to work on that. I'm setting myself a deadline by the end of March, by the end of this quarter. Either I paint it and put it up, or I just put it up. My last specific goal, goal 8, I added at the last moment, and I think it was necessary, is time to recharge. I have found myself wanting to read a lot. Specifically, I've been looking for books related to my goals to help me focus and give me new ideas. I just find like when I'm reading things or listening to podcasts that are relevant to what I'm working on, I'm just that much more motivated. So reading, crafting, doing all that stuff, like I need to purposely set aside time for that. And I also need to purposely set aside time to just rest and not be scheduled for a little while. So working on that, I'm trying to pick like one day a month, a weekend day where that's like rest day, and I can decide to do things if I want, but I don't have to. It says time to recharge, read, create, relax, plan. But the other part of this, which I guess might be another goal that I didn't have time for, so I'm just throwing it in as maybe goal number 9, is I don't even remember where I heard this idea, but it's I do a gratitude journal with the kids, but to actually write thank you notes. So my goal is 1 a month. More if I can manage it, but to somebody that I'm thinking about and that I want to thank. So I have an idea who my first person is. I don't think she watches these videos, but I have a good friend who I'm at a distance from now, but she has just been very supporting and encouraging to me. And so I'm going to get out some nice stationery that I have been saving for years, and I'm going to start by writing her a thank you note. There is one other thing I want to share with you, and that is my word of the year. And I also created a vision board, which is, it's in progress, but I'll show it to you. My word of the year is love. It's about loving myself, loving my husband and my kids, showing love to other people through thank you notes, loving the world. So my tea's all gone. I finished that. Thank you so much if you watched all this video. Please like it below and subscribe if you haven't already, especially if you want to see my quarterly updates. Also, I haven't shared this recently, but I decided to start a new channel for my gardening. And so if you were here and wanted to see my gardening videos, I will link that channel below. It's Julia in the Garden. And if not, you can just continue on with this homeschooling and motherhood content here at Julia at Home. Please keep an eye out for my life planner video. It should be coming out next week, hopefully. And in there, I have a little bit more details on how I track some of these goals that I've set. And also my budget notebook, which should be coming out hopefully the week after that, if all goes well. I will talk to you later.